From PRX, it's... This week, comedy writer Tamara Yajia.
She said, I'm talking to the failed child star again. And I was like, wow, she's so right. I was a failed child star. And suddenly all the wheels started turning in my head.
And comedian Susan Rice.
Honest to God, I spent 3 days on the phone with my Medicare provider just trying to sign up for hospice, for God's sake.
With music from Anna Tivel and our fabulous house band.
I'm your announcer, Elena Passarello, and now, the host of Livewire, Luke Burbank!
Thank you so much, Elena Passarello. Thank you, everyone, for coming out to the Alberta Rose Theater. We have an absolutely fabulous show in store for you this week, but we've got to kick things off the way that we always do, with a little segment we call The Best News We Heard All Week. Here's the premise of this segment. It's that most of the time the news is absolute trash. And we would like to remind folks here at the Alberta Rose Theater and out in listener land that there is, in fact, good news happening in the world. Some weeks it's harder than others. This week, we didn't have to dig as deeply, okay?
No.
But we wanted to present a couple of good news stories too. Elena, what is the best news you heard all week?
Okay, I want to tell you a little story about a gentleman named Manny Hernandez, a recent... Yeah!
Yes, I see we have some Hernandez heads here.
It would be really cool if that was true. But Manny is a life coach and a breathwork practitioner in Chicago. Had a kind of a tough summer and knew from his work in holistic healing that sometimes it feels good just to kind of get that emotion out, get it off your chest. And so he and his partner, whose name is Elena Soboleva, they went down to Lake Michigan with a couple of friends one Sunday and just screamed. They just let it rip. And they were like, oh, that feels really good. Why don't we do this again next Sunday? One Sunday after another, they have invented this thing called Scream Club. It is now, it's like a club that you can buy a charter for in your town. There are Scream Clubs that meet weekly in California, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Colorado, Texas, and Arizona. The closest one is in Seattle, in Lincoln Park.
Okay.
But that's a little far. I was thinking maybe we could start Scream Club here, but no. I went on the website, and it costs $250 to charter your membership.
We're not allowed to start our own Scream Club without paying the proper fees?
To be official. And there's also a really lengthy vetting process. But I know how good this feels. I know how good it feels to scream. I know how good it feels to let something off of your chest, even though in these austere times, our public radio show cannot pony up the $250 for a charter membership. I have invented something called the Shouting Society.
Okay, that's...
Okay. And I think... this is our first streaming show ever.
Yeah.
It's the anniversary of the first time I ever screamed on Livewire. I feel like we all need to have just like a 5-second collective shout for the Shouting Society.
Okay.
And just to see how that makes us feel, okay? So when I say, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we'll all just let it out. Does that sound good? Yeah? All right. Everybody at home listening, hopefully you're shouting too. Here we go. Shouting Society commences. 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Does anybody have a cigarette?
I feel better. I don't know about you. I feel much better.
Wow, that was very freeing, very cathartic.
Excellent shouting, Portland.
Wow.
We're going to get that charter soon enough.
The best news I heard all week, actually, I read about it at the website of Minnesota Public Radio. By the way, shout out to our network in Minnesota that plays the show, the NPR News site, talking about the town of Corcoran, Minnesota, where back in 1958, there was a guy who started a small family dairy farm. He had I think he had 20 cows and a horse, but he loved it. He just loved the dairy farming lifestyle. And so when he eventually couldn't do it any longer, he gave it to his kids, and then they gave it to their kids, and their kids are named Quincy Schmidt and her brother Caleb Scherber. They've grown the operation to like about 120 cows. They say they're not in it for the money. They just they love, again, being part of the dairy community. There is a problem, though, which is that there is apparently the price of milk is cratering right now. You have more milk than people need for some reason. So there's more supply than there is demand, which means the price goes down. They talked in this NPR story to an economist at the agriculture department at Cornell University, a guy named Christopher Wolf. He said, inflation is still being kind of stubborn, and everything that's happening right now doesn't look like it's going to do much for curbing inflation, to which I say, no shit, Sherlock. I could be an economics professor at Cornell with that kind of incredible insight.
Yeah.
What they're doing right now is not curbing inflation. So they were trying to figure out what to do because they don't want to lose the family dairy farm. It's been in the family for generations. And so they were, according to this article, reading a dairy newspaper recently.
Yeah.
Which is the first I'm hearing of that.
That sounds very Minnesota.
Like, what is the sports section of the dairy newspaper?
Probably something involving like a pasture, like a bingo card, and where the cow poops.
I'd read that.
You know?
They were reading in a dairy newspaper, and there was a dairy farmer in New York who had gotten this idea for how to supplement the income while the price of milk is down. And what a guy had done is he'd turned his calf nursery into a cow cuddling business.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Quincy and Caleb have decided to do with their 4 of their cows that are, I believe, calves actually, May, Mandarin, Zaley, and then Maui. I believe we have a photograph
Maui the
of
cowie?
Maui.
Aww.
For $25, you can cuddle Maui for 30 minutes.
That's it? That's less than $1 a minute.
Also, there is a group rate for $100. It's all the cuddling you can do for 30 minutes. All the people that you can bring to cuddle Maui or one of the other cows. You can brush them, you can feed them hay. Apparently, a cow's heartbeat is much slower than ours, and they think that there is something about putting your head kind of against the cow and its heartbeat kind of regulating you a little bit that people find very comforting.
I love that your story about coping in these hard times is about cuddling a big soft mammal, and mine is about screaming your head off.
We all process trauma in different ways, Elena.
That's right.
For me, cow cuddling in the Midwest, that is the best news that I heard all week. All right, our guest's journey to this stage this week, it kind of sounds like a fever dream, but it is all very true. A grandfather who sold recreational drugs, multiple moves between the U.S. and Argentina, and then successfully pulling off a jaw-dropping Madonna tribute performance in front of an audience of rabbis. And this was all before the age of 12. It's all detailed in her fascinating and very funny memoir, Cry for Me, Argentina, My Life as a Failed Child Star. Booklist calls it crass, cringe, and absolutely hilarious. Please welcome Tamara Yajia to Livewire. Tamara, welcome to Livewire.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy that you're here. I started following you on Twitter long ago, back when it was still called Twitter officially.
Yep.
And I just thought you were so funny. And then backstage we were talking, and you said that basically your Twitter following and your work on Twitter is sort of how you got the book deal?
Yeah, a literary agent found me because I would tweet a lot about my family. I have a very strange family. And I would say things like, my dad's hemorrhoid this, or my mom, well, we'll get into my mom later. But he was like, you have a story to tell. And I was like, I do? And we sold the book about my life because of tweets.
I mean, it is such a fun read. And I mean, I grew up in a pretty, not as chaotic as yours, but a fairly chaotic family environment. So there's so much in here that really resonates with me. Let's kind of start though at the beginning of the book. You write that you had you were about to turn 40 maybe, and you're sort of struggling with this question of do you want to become a parent or not? And so your rich aunt says, I have a great therapist for you, but she is in Argentina. and she is in her mid-80s and has a very limited understanding of how Zoom works.
But the sessions were only $20 per session because she was in Argentina and the currency exchange and on Zoom. And I was like, let's do it. She can help me figure out if I want to have offspring.
But she also, did she really at one point, because she didn't really understand the mute function on Zoom, she said to her husband, no, I'm talking to the failed child star?
Yeah. She fully talked about me without muting. And then she said, I'm talking to the failed child star again. And I was like, wow, she's so right. I was a failed child star. And suddenly all the wheels started turning in my head. And then like the next session, I heard a big fall, like a thump.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, what was that noise? Someone is screaming. And she was like, my husband fell in the bathtub and he's bleeding. And then she left for 20 minutes. And it was just me staring at my own reflection on Zoom. And at that moment, I was like, aw, you're cute. I was like, maybe you should have kids.
You were born in Buenos Aires, but then you moved to the U.S. You were about how old?
The first time, 6.
And what were your impressions of the place? You landed in like Northridge or something?
Yeah, first we moved to California. My parents had no money and we didn't know anybody except there was this one guy and he was in West Hollywood. So we moved to a motel in West Hollywood. It was like sex workers and then me and my parents. And then we got an apartment and we slowly built our lives in, the valley in Northridge.
But then like after you get this apartment in Northridge, your grandparents move from Argentina into the apartment next to the one your parents are in?
Yeah, I mean, this book is really about crazy families. So if you have a crazy family, you will relate to this. My grandparents have had absolutely no boundaries whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason my parents, outside from the economic issues in Argentina, that they wanted to leave because we had no money. They also wanted to get away from their parents, who were, I loved them because they were my grandparents, but they were psychotic. I mean, my grandmother on her honeymoon, because my grandfather was going gambling too much and leaving her alone in the hotel room, he came back one day and she had shaved half her head because she was mad, and she was like, and if you keep gambling, I will shave the other half.
Honestly, that might be an improvement at that point. I would take fully dealt with then.
Send him straight back to the casino.
Yeah, right, seriously. We got to take a very quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more to Tamara Yajia about her really funny, really interesting book, Cry For Me, Argentina, My Life as a Failed Child Star. We'll get into the failed child star part as well. Here on Livewire, stay with us, much more in just a moment. Welcome back to Livewire from PRX. I'm Luke Burbank. That's Elena Passarello. We are at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon this week, and we're talking to Tamara Yajia about her book, Cry For Me, Argentina, My Life as a Failed Child Star. You write in the book that your family really loves malls.
Yes.
It's really your happy place. And so much so that your parents, during one of your rounds of sort of being in the U.S., started this like a food cart kind of a thing in a mall called, what was it called again?
Sexy chicken.
What was the concept exactly?
We had saved some money to start a business, and they were like, well, what should it be? And I was like, I love El Pollo Loco. Does El Pollo Loco exist here?
No, not enough of them.
It's chicken.
Yes. Well, it's chicken that's dealing with mental health issues.
It's a little
It's an unwell chicken.
Yeah.
But I related, and I was like, we were at a mall. I was like, I want El Pollo Loco, and there's no El Pollo Loco here. And my parents were like, well, maybe let's bootleg it. Mm-hmm. So they...
But we'll make it sexier.
But we'll make it sexy, because they were like, but what will sell? Sex.
Yeah. Did it sell?
No, it went bankrupt after like 2 months.
So then you go back to Argentina, and you and your family kind of like, to get resettled, you end up, I think, sort of semi-temporarily in a place that is called Yiddish land.
I love Yiddish land. It was a retirement community for Jews over the age of 65. So we were like illegally there. And it was called Yiddish land.
And it was
beautiful
somebody in
memory.
your family, like an apartment had been left to somebody in your family?
Yeah, I think somebody had died and my grandma had inherited it, and we didn't have money to get our own place in the city yet. So my grandma was like, stay here until, my dad found a job.
And that's how you met your best friend.
My best friend, Babala. She had boobs that were, I don't know the size, but they were like a quadruple G. Like this. And I had no friends because I was a 7-year-old or 8-year-old at this senior retirement home, and I was just walking around bored until I met Babala, and she just took me under her wing, her breast. She taught me how to play Rumi Cube, and we would go to the community screening room where we would watch really uplifting films like Yentl and Sophie's Choice.
Yeah. Some real kid-friendly stuff.
Yeah.
About what time did you sort of discover your love for Madonna?
I became obsessed with Madonna when I was like 8 or 9. I was really sick with a really, really bad fever. And I awoke from a fever dream where I remember God in the dream. God asked me to count all the human beings on earth.
In the dream?
In the dream. So I kept counting, but then people would immigrate, so I couldn't keep track. So I woke up from that dream of counting people, and I projectile vomited, and then in the background was MTV playing Madonna, La Isla Bonita, which was a music video that was like, she was singing in English and Spanish, which was like, oh, it's the bridge of my two cultures, America and the US. And she then had just released Erotica, her album, so they were having like a Madonna-only music video day. So it was just all the Madonna videos. And I found my guiding light.
But then you decided to interpret that guiding light to like Hebrew school type of atmosphere, a bunch of rabbis, where you did like a lip sync, a really intense lip sync version of Like a Prayer.
Yeah.
Take me through that.
It was my chance to stand out in the school. I had no friends because we had just moved back to Argentina. And Like a Prayer happened to be my favorite Madonna song. It was something in the lyrics, really, because I'm Jewish, and it's not like the imagery, right? Like, but I was like, I love this song, so I got Babala, my big-breasted friend, she was a seamstress, and I was like, Babala, let's talk about what I'm gonna wear. And she was like, I got you, girl. And yeah, the day of the performance, I stripped down at a temple in.
And you're, again, remind me, you're how old here?
I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
And like I did the whole thing of like I started with a big black overcoat and then I took out a knife from my pocket and I pretended to cut my hand like to do the stigmata thing.
Like she does in the video.
She does that in the video. And then when the choir kicks in, the big part, Babala had sewn Velcro strips onto the side of my t-shirt and I pulled them off and underneath I'm wearing a garter belt. There was a rabbi in the front row, I remember, Rabbi Groisman, and he was like this.
For the radio listeners, Tamara's making a horrified look. I do feel like you only got away with this because it was Hebrew school and not Catholic school. Because everything the Madonna's pushing back against is Catholicism. But it wasn't like from a sort of religious standpoint, this was mostly not related to what was going on in Hebrew school, right?
100%. And also because no one really understood the lyrics because they were in Argentina, but like they did see the striptease.
Yes.
So I was forced to write an apology letter. And Babala wrote it for me.
Dude, Babala was ride or die.
Yeah, shout out.
She was. I have to tell you something that's so funny. I'm trying to have kids right now. And so I set up this sort of...
So the therapy worked.
It did. So, except now I have to have them. And it's been hard because I'm 41. So I was like, I'm going to set up a shrine of all of my ancestors because I'm obsessed with my grandparents and with Babala. So behind my bed, I hung like 20 pictures of Babala and my grandparents and all. And so as me and my husband go to town, he's got to look at them all. Which may be why it's not happening.
Yeah.
Now I'm realizing.
Now, I mean, you talk about being in therapy, and you talk in the book about all of this conversation that was always going on that would be considered maybe inappropriate or just like oversharing within the family. And yet it also helped you develop your sense of humor. There's a lot about it that has maybe made you like a more open-minded, less fearful person. I don't know. How do you feel like it came out for you? Are you glad you were raised in that kind of home, or do you wish that they would have been a little less sort of oversharing about that stuff?
There's nothing I would take back. It was what it was. It made me who I am today. Now, here's the difference. I won't do that with my kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that it happened to me and that I had the insight to make changes and to get therapy and to analyze, like, this was inappropriate, that was inappropriate. It's crazy because I just went through IVF and it's a very taxing thing on your body. Your boobs grow, your whatever. And
Shout out Babala.
shout out, Baba. I'm becoming. But like, I saw my dad, and as a joke, he was like, your tits are huge. And I went, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that you're saying that. And I told him, and he was like, you're suddenly so serious. And I said, no, I'm not suddenly so serious. I have the insight now to pinpoint when something, before I didn't as a kid. That's the kind of stuff that will piss me off sometimes or make me kind of, just angry about the way I was raised, but I also wouldn't take it back.
Because it makes us who we are.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, I don't want to imagine a different version of me if I didn't, like, in my case, think that the world could end at any moment because of the rapture. So my parents telling us that the earth was 6,000 years old and could end at any point. Like, I don't love that about my childhood, but, like, here I am making jokes about it. So ain't life grand?
Sure.
This book is it's so funny and also so human. I'm so glad you wrote it. The book is Cry For Me, Argentina, My Life as a Failed Child Star by Tamara Yajia. Tamara, thank you so much for coming on Livewire. That was Tamara Yajia right here on Livewire. Her hilarious, and I say this in all sincerity, unforgettable memoir. There are passages from the memoir I can't forget, even if I wanted to, Elena.
Yeah, same.
It's available now. It's called Cry for Me, Argentina, My Life as a Failed Child Star. Livewire is brought to you by Powell's Books, a Portland institution since 1971. Powell's offers a selection of new and used books in stores and online at powells.com. Hey there, it's Luke. Did you know that Livewire is also available as a podcast? Of course it is. Everything's a podcast now. And our podcast features the same engaging conversations, live music, original comedy, and all the stuff that you love about the Livewire radio show. But now you can listen when you want to, where you want to. Go over to livewireradio.org to download the podcast or get it anywhere you get that kind of stuff. You're listening to Livewire. I'm Luke Burbank here with Elena Passarello. Of course, each week on the show, we like to ask the Livewire listeners a question based on Tamara Yajia's truly original childhood. We have asked the listeners a related question, Elena. What have we asked them?
What was your most memorable experience performing as a child? Oh, Lord, where do I start?
I mean, I think you and I could fill this whole segment out ourselves. Of course, the idea is to hear from the Livewire listeners, but
Yeah.
let's just say hysterically laughing as Moses in a kindergarten play at a church school called Pillar of Fire Elementary School.
Pillar of Fire.
That tells you everything you need to know. I could not contain my giggles, and I laughed for probably 5 straight minutes in the production.
Laughing Moses.
That's right. All right. What are the listeners saying about memorable performances as children?
Marcus says that my grandmother drove 3 hours to watch me play trumpet in the school band, and I played every single note wrong. She told me it was beautiful anyway.
I always wonder where the line is between being supportive of our children and then maybe launching them on a career path that makes no sense. Like, is Marcus's email signed professional trumpet player? Currently out of work, professional trumpet player Marcus.
Do you remember that Spelling Bee documentary from about 15 years ago?
I sure do.
This kid went to the Nationals and he got out and his dad was like, I still think you spelled it right.
Love
That's
it.
support.
That's a kid who knows his parents are in his corner. What's another memorable childhood performance one of our listeners wants to talk about?
How about this one from Natalie? In 8th grade, I played Jesus in my Catholic school's Stations of the Cross. I was secretly an atheist, but man, I put my all into that performance. Hey, man, commit to the bit, right?
That's acting right there. That's what it's all about. How about you? You're actually a very, very talented actor in adult life, but like, were you in any kid productions that were memorable?
Like millions of them. My poor parents were always having to go to, and then I would put them on at home too. So it was always a performance. I did a magic show for my family once, and the magic trick book said that you should take slivers of carrots and put them in your goldfish bowl, and then it would look like you were eating the goldfish, but I didn't have any goldfish, so I just got a bowl and put a bunch of shaved carrots in it, and then just kind of like ate them in front of my family with a top hat on that I'd made out of some poster board.
Did you charge admission for this show?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I feel like you get 2 kinds of kids. You get the lemonade stand kid, and you get the we're putting on a show kid when somebody wants to come up with a couple of dollars of loose change. We were always putting on little performances when I was a kid, and it was always, there was a charge for admission.
Yeah. Pay your artists.
And by the way, nothing has changed. Here we are doing Livewire, our show, where we sell tickets to our little program. Okay, one more memorable kid performance before we move on.
Olivia says, I had one line as villager number 3 in the school play. The crops are failing. And I screamed it like I was announcing the apocalypse. My dad still quotes it at Thanksgiving.
The crops are failing. Does seem like a big deal, though. Like, what do you want someone in the town, in this village, to just be like, hey, by the way, low key, the crops are failing? No, that needs to be screamed. This is a big event.
That's a screamable line. Totally. I understand your vision, Olivia, and I would like to belatedly reward you for your commitment to the character.
Absolutely. And also, we'd like to thank everyone who sent in their response of memorable childhood performances. We really do appreciate it. Livewire is supported by Literary Arts, which presents the Moth Main Stage in Portland, December 9th. Curated true stories told live. Learn more at literary-arts.org. You're listening to Livewire. Our next guest could have been forgiven for thinking she knew how her comedy career was going to go. Okay, she started off in the 1980s, and she performed at clubs with the likes of Jerry Seinfeld and Sam Kinison. But the comedy industry sort of changed and evolved over 40 years, and so she started focusing more on hosting charity events and creating comedy opportunities for other comedians. And then, Elena, at the tender age of 72, that all changed when one of her comedy clips went viral, as they say. That led to America's Got Talent, and then to her debut comedy special, Silver Alert. And now here she is, living proof that the best punchlines come with the experiences to back them up. Take a listen to Susan Rice, recorded live at the Alberta Rose Theater in Portland, Oregon.
Wow. I really want to say thank you for coming out and choosing to entertain yourself, to laugh and to be entertained and be part of something, because we've been so depressed, you know. Honest to God, I spent 3 days on the phone with my Medicare provider just trying to sign up for hospice, for God's sake. Evidently, there's criteria. They're coming after our Social Security. I'm going to have to sell my eggs. There's got to be a couple up there, don't you think? Everybody likes a good deviled egg. Anyway, so I don't have kids that I know of. Well, the 80s are a little hazy. Anyway, yeah, at least we had a choice. Anyway, oh, I know I'm in Oregon. I said that in Alabama. Not so much of a response. Anyway, so I love my nieces and my nephews. They take care of me. I'm that auntie. Is anybody else an auntie? Yeah, I'm that auntie. I'm the one that they whisper about in the kitchen now, you know. She is not living with us. I am not wiping one thing on that woman. They're always trying to help me out. They were over the other day, and I came into the kitchen, and I go, what are you doing? They took out all my plastic, all my Tupperware. It was all in the garbage. And I go, what are you doing? And they go, Suze, microplastics. I said, what? You can eat microplastics. It's bad for you. I said, you know, I used to follow the mosquito fogger truck on my bike, okay? One of the things my nieces did during COVID is, you know, and I was so glad to come out of COVID, but I kind of missed some of that, being quiet and stuff, you know. You didn't have to go do stuff that you didn't want to do and stuff like that. And I cleaned out drawers. That was the only reason COVID was great for cleaning out drawers. Did you? Yeah, you did that, didn't you? Yeah. I called it shopping. I did. I took out stuff from the drawers and just saved it and wrapped it up at Christmas and sent it to my nieces and nephews. My nephew called me up. He goes, I got a dental bridge. It's vintage. It was your grandfather's. And baby pictures. I found, back in the day, the people used to send you your baby pictures in the mail with Christmas cards and stuff. Now with the internet, you don't have to do that. But I found like 2.5 inches of baby pictures in a drawer. I don't know who they are. I thought I should get rid of these in case there's a felony conviction or something. Too many questions, not enough answers. I threw some out. I saved some, and I put some in Christmas cards to old boyfriends, This is Timmy. He's 42. During COVID, I got calls from each of my nieces and nephews 3 times a day from each of them. I was going crazy. They started signing me up for stuff. I started getting emails from YouTube that I was taking a macrame class. Oh, don't laugh. Portland, you know what the hell macrame is. Don't give me that. You just tie crap together and hang your dignity from it. It's like... Anyway, they worry about me. And, God love them. I'm so glad I have somebody worry about me. But, they signed me up for the SilverSingles. Yeah, see, well, they're upset. I'm not in a relationship, according to the restraining order. Couple late night calls, couple drive-bys, suddenly I'm the bad guy. Anyway, there's a really fine line between stalking and caring. And they signed me up for the SilverSingles, and I didn't know it. All of a sudden, I started getting emails from sweet, desperate old gentlemen. And I don't know if this guy likes me or he just had a tremor and swiped right. I don't know. Yeah, that deserves so much more than you gave me on that joke. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't you want to get married? No. Nobody gets married for the first time at 70. Not without, a verified pension and a diagnosis. And so... And they're starting to worry about what's going to happen to me. And we had a big dinner party not long ago, and I was sitting across the table from my niece, my oldest niece, and she goes, "Suze, we need to ask you something." I said, "Okay, honey, what do you need?" "Suze, we need to know what you want." "Well, I'd like some more gravy." "No, Suze, you have to, you're getting so old, we don't know what to do with you after you die. Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be composted?" "I want to be pickled." I remember having that conversation with my mom and dad. I was my mom and dad's, we have caregivers here? Yeah, a lot of you, yeah, it's hard. It's a very difficult position to be. I took care of my mom and dad for 11 years. I wasn't good at it, they died, but... I tried. One of them is always easier than the other one. My father was anything, "Okay, honey, whatever you want, Your mother's a different story. And let me just tell you this right now. My mom and dad lived to be very old. My dad was just shy of 99. My mom was 97. They died 2 months apart. Yeah, they held hands everywhere they went for 40. People would say that, and I would laugh because I knew the truth. If one's going down, they're taking the other one with them. Nobody gets out alive. They never developed dementia, either one of them, neither one of them. They were there. They were there every day. They were there. They just woke up happy. They woke up, you know. What are we doing today? We're going to Costco. They're having a 2-for on coffins. Let's measure. You guys, I gotta go. Thank you so very, very much.
That was Susan Rice, recorded live at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Her comedy special, Silver Alert, is streaming right now, or you can see where she's performing by going to susanricecomedy.com. This is Livewire Radio. We have to take a very quick break, but stay where you are. When we return, we're going to hear from singer-songwriter Anna Tivel. Stay tuned. More Livewire in a moment. Welcome back to Livewire. I'm your host, Luke Burbank, here with Elena Passarello. Before we get to this week's musical performance from Anna Tivel, a little preview of what we're doing on the show next week. We are going to be talking to Ken Jennings, who you probably know as the host of Jeopardy. All he had to do to get the job was win the show 74 times in a row. I'm in a glide path, really. You've been on Jeopardy, Elena. You know how hard it is.
I was on it 73 fewer times than Ken Jennings.
It turns out Ken is also a writer, and his latest book is called 100 Places to See After You Die, a travel guide to the afterlife. And then speaking of writers, we're also going to talk to the writer Erica Berry about wolves, both the ones that live in nature and also the ones that live in our minds. And then we're going to wrap things up with some music from the incredible international rock and roll band. They're called Making Movies. It's going to be a fun, funny, interesting show next week, so make sure you tune in for that. For this week, our musical guest grew up in LaConner, Washington, learning fiddle and violin before heading on down here to Portland at the age of 18 to write and play her own tunes. And they are some really good tunes. NPR Music's Ann Powers calls her unmatched as an empath among her folk-leaning peers, with the voice of a wobbly angel and a gift for making the poetic palpable. Her 7th studio album, Animal Poem, continues to explore the mystery, rawness, and inherently indescribable nature of this thing that we call the human experience. Here is Anna Tivel, recorded live at the Alberta Rose Theatre in Portland, Oregon. Anna, welcome back to Livewire.
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you here. What have you been up to?
I've been roaming. I've been roaming all over the country on tour, all over the States and Canada, mostly, driving many miles in a minivan.
I follow you on Instagram, and I have to be honest, I feel exhausted when I see how much, ground you've covered in a 24-hour period. Because I'm going, she was there, and now she's at this place. Man, that seems like a long drive. How do you, what do you do to get through that part of being a touring musician, just the distances?
I think I love it. I think I'm an introverted person. I mean, besides that it makes me into the most rickety, van-shaped human. I think it's such time to kind of just watch the world go by, watch the country go by, and you're sort of thinking your thoughts, and you're having all these experiences at rest stops and gas stations and weird little diners and bookstores, and it kind of makes the world feel tangible and tasteable because you're just in it and you can't get out of it, and there's waffles and bed bugs and
Oh my.
exactly.
Does it work its way into the music, into the writing of songs? Because it definitely seems like, you're generating new content.
It does. I did a tour in the spring all by train. Started in Portland and took the Empire Builder over to Chicago, and then the California Zephyr back under, and the Coast Starlight back up to Portland. It was all shows in people's living rooms and bakeries and libraries, and visited schools during the day and kind of slept sitting up on the train, and which I don't know if you guys are train people, but it's sort of like a joyful mobile DMV. It's just like everyone from everywhere is on the train and they're coming and going, and it's beautiful and gritty and wonderful, and there's microwavable hamburgers and yeah, you can kind of sit there in your chair and write and listen. The Wi-Fi isn't good on the train, and so everyone's talking, and they're, for better or for worse, they're arguing with each other over whose seat is whose seat, and they're telling long-winded stories about their divorce. And
See, I've monetized that, made that the radio show. It's working so far. Well, tell me about the song that we're going to hear.
Oh, in the spirit of that, I'll play this song. I wrote most of it on the train. It's sort of a song about traveling across this country as it does what it's up to, and meeting people and kind of watching the landscape go by and feeling the way we're all sort of in this interwoven story, interacting in this moment, but also with what the country has been and will be all at once.
All right, this is Anna Tivel here on Livewire.
Train rolled on forever. I slept there in my seat while the oil rig sipped shadows and the cattle dreamed. There's a place, I know it's out there, I can almost see it beyond the blue horizon line. And the woman right behind me is hanging up the phone. It's so hard to get an answer when you need someone. Heading out to West Montana to see her son through the visitation glass every Wednesday night. Ooh, what a feeling, American wind at your heels. You gotta hold on to something if the truth doesn't kill you. The sunrise will. Tired flag unfolding, a ghost town in the dark. The skeletons of factories where addicts kiss and point out stars, while in distant shining cities they break all our hearts. Drink their fine wine and whiskey, take the money and shake hands. But the light, it bends the barley, a painter couldn't guess. Oh, the shades of gold and ochre, the old farmer loves the best. There's a place I hope we're heading, it holds all of this. The sacred and the wreckage, future and the past. Ooh, what a feeling. The hungriest nation house. You gotta hold on to something. This train isn't stopping for dreamers now. It's quiet in the last car. Wild horses watch us pass. Still the whistle sends them running. White steam rising off their backs. In the brightness of the morning on this brutal path. Through the country I've always loved. Now the travelers get to talking, where they're going, where they've been, how it feels to be in motion in the changing wind. I just lean back and listen to all of it. Watch the gold light beckon and the wild horses run.
That was Anna Tivel, recorded live at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Her album, Animal Poem, is available right now. You have to go get it. It's incredible. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Livewire. A huge thanks to our guests, Tamara Yajia, Susan Rice, and Anna Tivel.
Laura Haddon is our executive producer, Heather D. Michelle is our executive director, and our producer and editor is Melanie Sevchenko. Eben Hoffer is our technical director with assistance from Leona Kinderman. Trey Hester is our assistant editor.
Valentine Keck is our operations manager, and Ashley Park is our marketing manager. Tiffany Nguyen is our intern. Our house sound is by D. Neil Blake, and our house band is Danny Ailey, Ethan Fox Tucker, A.L. Alves, and A. Walker Spring, who also composes our music. The show was mixed by Eben Hoffer and Trey Hester.
Additional funding provided by the Marie Lamfrom Charitable Foundation. Livewire was created by Robin Tenenbaum and Kate Sokoloff. This week, we'd like to thank member Chad Snyder of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Pat Blumenthal of Portland, Oregon.
For more information about our show or how you can listen to our podcast, head on over to livewireradio.org. I'm Luke Burbank for Elena Passarello and the whole Livewire crew. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.